Hi, this is On Imagination with Shifting Perspectives. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and read you what I wrote last night, and then I'm going to talk about it. In 1995, I began reverse engineering the human condition on the philosophies. I am not ready to do this yet. I'm going to talk instead. I went to a game night last night. It was my first game night in a while, and like a year, and it was really like I sat there with my notebook taking notes on psychology while it was occurring. And I was observing behavior. We were playing a game, and I like the games that take longer to learn than to play. I like the games where it takes an hour to learn the game. So we got out the new game, and we were going over the directions and the instructions, and we had people who were listening to the instructions. We had people who were reading the instructions, people who were watching the gameplay to learn, people who were listening to the rules, people who were teaching the rules, and then people who were playing the game to learn the game. And in that hour, I was able to literally observe all the learning styles in one space. And it was interesting because we all had this moment where it was decided we're all going to read the rules, as in one person's going to read the rules out loud. And I watched, and I'm one of those persons that does nothing. I have to play the game, and I have to read the rules. I have to silently read the rules myself, and then I have to play the game. And it's not until I play the game that I actually understand it. I have to watch 2 turns before me. I can never go first because I have to watch before me and then do it. And just like that, I know exactly what kind of learning style I had. And it's interesting because when you ask someone, what's your learning style? A lot of people are like, I don't know. But then you sit down to play a game and you get to see everyone's learning style. But it's not talked about. Instead, we all decide we're going to read the rules, you're going to listen to the rules, and that's how it's going to be taken in. And it doesn't work. And I'm like, why are we doing it this way? Why aren't we saying, what's your learning style? I really wanted to go afterwards and just ask everyone around the table, how did you have to hear that? I didn't because I was new. Oh, but it's still going to happen at the next game. And the reason why this is so important is because I was able to narrow it down to there are 5 learning styles. Teaching, as in when you tell someone, when you teach someone, you learn. Reading the rules, doing the game, watching the game, and listening to the rules. And I was like, wow, that's really simple. And everyone plays games, well, for the most part. So you can almost invariably say, when you sit down and you learn a new game, how do you learn it? Boom, there's your answer. Which really made me understand when I want to take my triadic healing and teach it to other people. What method should I do? And I thought about the play that I have in my head. I see plays played out in my head, and I'm trying to figure out how to present them to people. And basically, it's a one person on stage with 5 personas that they're explaining. It's been done before, but usually only 1 or 2. And then I thought, well, what if I bring the actors on stage? Like, what if I actually bring on audience members and have them take on one role, and I have the script already out for them? I basically need someone to interrupt and constantly say, that's not safe. That would be the subconscious mind. Just one person constantly sitting there, no matter what is decided or done, kind of like a whose line is it anyway? Where they just sit there and go, that's not safe, that's not safe, that's not safe, but that's not safe. And then this is going to be like sings from a hat. And then there would be Identity, wanting to go on adventure all the time. Let's go on an adventure. You would have the adventurer. Wow, this is really interesting. If I were to take away their psychological names and give them actual words to say, changes their personality. And it also completely solidifies who they are. So you have, let's go on an adventure. That's identity. And then you have, that's not safe. And then you have, go, wait. Oh, okay, now. You've got that person. That would be your intuition. Go, wait, okay, now. Yeah, that's so intuition. If I had to summarize her in like 3 words or less. And then I would have this asshole in my head going, you're not good enough. You suck at this. Just tearing you down. You suck. You suck. You loser. Like that would be the guilt system. Yeah, you got to love the guilt system. You're not good at anything. It's like, thanks. I need you in my life. And then the fear system. And one phrase, one sentence comes to mind. Oh my God, what is this? What is happening? And that is literally the line from Jerry. Oh my God, what's going on? What is happening? That is literally the line from Rick and Morty, the Rick of Citadels, the Citadel of Ricks, when they're having pancakes and opens a portal. Evil Rick, evil Morty comes in, shoots one of the Ricks in the head, or shoots one of the Mortys in the head, grabs Rick and drags him off. And Jerry's at the table. Oh my God, what's going on? What's happening? And I just, in that moment, went, oh, that's the fear system. I think we have everyone. All right, so here's our people. This is what we have here. You've got the overbearing mother. That's not safe. That's your subconscious mind. You've got, let's go on an adventure. That's not safe. Wait. It's okay. All right, go now. And then you suck. You just suck. You're terrible at this. You suck. That's all that person would say. And then you've got fear running around, panicking, hitting everything. And you just want to go on a fucking adventure. And I can see this. And you, the ego, are like in a car with these people trying to run your life, trying to go do shit, just trying to go to the grocery store. And you've got all of this shit happening. I'm going to have to change the name of this video because it is totally not what I'm feeling right now. So I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm just going to have to change the title of this video and save the title for a different time because I can't do it right now. I walked into the game night last night and there was food available and I asked if any of it was vegetarian, and that launched a very common problem I have. Why are you vegetarian? I have met this person once before, and I have met all of these other people that I saw never. And I was sitting here going, why am I a vegetarian? My first thought was, well, I remembered exactly why I'm a vegetarian. And I'm going, so I gave them a very vague answer because I believe in animals' rights. And then I got, yeah, but why? He came off as very curious. Ooh, new person, possibly new friend. I would like to know more about this person. I've seen animal abuse. And then it launched it into the next question. What do you mean sing animals? You mean, what do you mean? Now I'm in the middle of a game night, just arrived with a bunch of strangers, and I'm remembering everything I saw. And I'm going, what do I do? What do I do? The psychologist in me says, boundary. Tell them you don't want to talk about it. Yes, but I want human connection. I want to make friends. So my options are lie, tell them I don't want to talk about it, and fail to make a human connection, or like, what are my options? So I went with telling the truth, keeping it vague a little bit more. Now, I've done this before. This is what I did back in 2020 when I was all over Manhattan. And I kept it vague. Again, sing it, like in person. Like, what did you see? And that's the point when I said, you will have nightmares if I tell you what I saw. Oh, that opens up a whole nother thing, which a lot of people actually go down. Like, people find my past life fascinating. I noticed another emotion. The other emotion was, I talk about my life for a living. I feel like I'm working. And the only time I really get into it is when I'm A, doing research, or B, making a point on triadic healing, and I'm trying to inspire people through my story, which I do on stage. So I'm sitting here going, I don't want to talk about it. And at the same time, I can't make a human connection without it. So back in 2020, what I would do after going through several people with this problem, where I got this massive jarring and questions like, where are you from? Oh, that one's a huge trigger for me. Every time I get asked that question, it's actually a trigger for me, because where I'm from is a trigger. And it's one that where am I from? And I just imagine all the shit that I've had to endure. I've been through answers like upstate. Oh, where upstate? And suddenly I'm talking about all of the shit, trying to filter out all the bad parts. I've told them the bad parts. I've got people who are like, oh, I'm so sorry. This is not how I want to start friendships. This is not how I want to start friendships. I have a very unique problem. So after a while, I came up with a rule. Rule number one was, you do not ask me about my past. Don't ask me about my past. There's nothing in that past that you want to hear. It's going to trigger me. It's going to give you nightmares. You don't want to hear about my past. The second thing that I did was simply lie. I'm from everywhere and nowhere. I gave them lies on purpose that were obvious lies that very clearly said, I don't want to tell you. I'm from everywhere and nowhere. I love that line. I still use it. In fact, I used it right up until I met my partner. I am from everywhere and nowhere. Nowhere worth discussing. And as a result, I'm from all over the place. Yeah, that one was I loved saying that, because it was a very clear, I don't want to talk about it. You don't want to know about it. Ooh, that's a good one. I'll write that one down. I don't want to talk about it, and you don't want to know about it. That's nice. That's honest. See, that's the problem, is I can't lie. I don't want to talk about it, and you don't want to know about it. So this is my current problem. I'm at that point in my healing where I'm ready to make friends. I'm ready to get back out there and start connecting with people. And I found my very first boundary of, oh, that's why I don't do this. This is why I have social anxiety. Because every time I walk out there, they want to know about my past. And my options are lie, trauma truth, or be mysterious. Then maybe I'll give those for the options. Do you want me to lie, give you a trauma truth that's going to upset us both, or do you want me to be mysterious? Anything about my past is like a fifth date kind of a thing. Like, let's get through 5 dates and then you can start asking me about my past. Let's get through 5 friendship dates and then you can start asking me about my past. In a, yeah, doing it on the first, then this is it. I need a way to curtail very first introductions. Where are you from is my biggest one. Now, I say I'm from Brooklyn and they immediately assume I'm a native. God, it's so fucking hard. Maybe this is why it's so hard to make friends as adults. By the way, I am totally going to be doing a whole thing on making friends as adults because this is an obstacle in my opinion and it needs to be like rectified. So I'm like, oh, right. And this is it. We all have things we don't want to talk about. For me, that's everything prior to 2022. 2022. Everything prior to then, I don't want to talk about it. Oh, this is really telling. I lived a double life when I was backpacking through Manhattan. I didn't want creeps and weirdos I met on the internet to find me and stalk my children. I did not want my children knowing who and what I was doing. My children knew who and what I was doing. They are smart and I don't lie to them. And if they ask, I tell them the truth. There was one day I was going to see a friend, true story, in Jersey. I was actually going to get my pasta maker. I have a pasta maker. And there was no Williams Sonoma close to me. And I wanted pasta that day. I didn't want to wait 3 days for Amazon to deliver it. I wanted it right then. So my options were wait for 3 days or drive my ass into New York City and go buy one. And I went, oh, hell, I'm going to New York. Give me a reason. And I got to see a friend. So I grabbed my coat, grabbed my purse. I said, I'm heading to New York. I'll be back this evening. Where are you going? And I said, I'm going to go see a friend. Oh, a friend. It really is. I'm going to go see a friend. It was like the one time I was legitimately going to go see a friend. And she just, she was like 13 at the time, my daughter. And she's like, oh, a friend. For the record, she was staying with her 18-year-old brother at the time. I did not leave a 13-year-old child alone at the house. So I tried doing the whole telling people about my life thing. And it got one of two responses. I either got the, oh my God, I am so sorry, which I fucking hate that response. I got the overemphasized response, which makes me uncomfortable. Or I got the horror lover who wanted to know more. Those are my options. I also got the stunned silence of, I don't know what to say, which made us both feel. So I got the awkward stare, the awkward silence, the, oh my God, over empathizer, or the horror and wanted to know more. Everyone finds me fascinating. She's beautiful. She's got the most crazy fucking life. What makes this person tick? Trauma. The thing is, I don't want to talk about it. I literally am at a point where whenever I talk about my past now, I put myself on a stage and I'm like, all right, let's talk about how I created triadic healing. Let's talk about psychology. Let's talk about philosophy, which is fantastic when I'm at work. It's fantastic when I'm on a stage or on a podcast. But when I'm at a game night trying to relax with friends, I don't want to talk about it. And I'm going, one of my responses that I came up with last night, this is clever. I talk about my life for a living. If I tell you anything about my past, I'm going to have to charge you. That one I like. Because they're not going to want to pay, which is okay. It's like, look, we're at a game night. We don't want to hear this. The question they're going to follow up with, which they always do, is what was so happening about your life that you tell it for a living? Yeah. I want to pick this apart. The awkward, oh shit, how do I respond to this? Why do we have, I know what that is. That's confusion. The awkward, I don't know how to respond is confusion. They do not know the appropriate social program. That's it right there. They don't know the social program. I don't know it either. I don't know it. The social program says you're not supposed to tell people about this stuff. They're not used to honest people. Another part of me just tells them, just lie. Thing is, I've done this so many times. Yesterday was the first one where it was right in my face again. And I went, oh yeah, this is why I don't socialize. Because I never figured out how to get over this problem. So it's time to pull it apart and figure out how to get over this problem. I asked for people's opinion on Facebook and everyone's like, oh, tell them the trauma truth. Tell them the trauma truth. Yeah. You think that's a good idea, right? And they're all like, you can't build a relationship out of lies. Clearly, you don't have my problem. I feel like just telling somebody about my past is trauma bonding. I almost want to say that. If I tell you anything about my past, it'll just trauma bond us. We're not going to connect. We're going to trauma bond. That's the truth. That's how I end up making friends in most cases. And then there's the reciprocity, or because I've told them something intimate about me. It's not really intimate. It's just, where are you from? I need a card, like something on hand that just details, this is unpleasant for me. Literally 100% of my past is banned from conversation. So that when they ask, I can just hand them the card and be like, I've not ignored them, but here's the card. This is everything you need to know. Just walk on. And I haven't ignored them. They've gotten the truth. It's not the time or the place. And this is not the time or the place to ask me about my past. What do you do with a past like mine? What the fuck do you do with a past like mine? I have not been able to figure this answer out, which is why I have no friends, which is why my partner is very precious to me. You know, I don't remember him ever asking me about my past. He respected me enough to just leave it alone. I think he intuitived it. I don't know. I don't remember. He didn't empathize. He didn't want details, and he didn't want to know more about the horror. I remember him kissing me on my forehead and saying, "Te quiero mucho." Those words. Those words. So, how the hell do I get over this? I haven't been able to figure it out. I'm going to need more data. I'm going to need to ask more people. I'm tempted to text my friend who asked me last night, and I'll just directly ask him, like, hey, can I ask you something? And I know what he's going to say. He's going to apologize. And I'm going to be like, dude, you didn't know. No one knows. So what do you do? Because I really don't have the answer for this one. And no matter, boundary up is what they would say. That's exactly what every psychologist would say. Boundary up. Use your boundaries. If you're not comfortable, then don't do it. That is exactly what they would tell me. You don't have to tell anybody anything. You can tell them whatever you want. Well, I don't want to tell anybody anything, which means zero human connection. I can give them who I am now. Don't ask me about my past. That's a really good rule. That's a really good rule, right? I can give you who I am now. Don't ask me about my past. That's about as honest as I can get it. I can give you who I am now. Don't ask me about my past. Yeah, I think that's just going to become my go-to. That's enough. I think that they'll get the answer they need. Questions only about the present. Questions only about the now. Never about my past. There, I think that's it right there. I can give you who I am now. Don't ask me about my past. None of it. That feels really good. It feels right. It feels good. And you know what? I think it gives me joy. I can give you who I am now. Don't ask me about my past. It's a boundary. There. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's it. I'm going to try that out. I picked up another game night last night, so now I have 2 game nights a month, which is nice. So I have 2 game groups. Picked up a few friends. The thing is, I want to network, and I used to be really good at it. That was back when I lived in I was really fucking good at networking, and I'm not so good at it anymore. And that's my problem. I need to get good at it again. And the reason why I'm not good at it is because I have shields up. And I have shields up because I'm using boundaries. Actually, I'm not using boundaries. I have my shields up because I'm not using boundaries. I'm using my shields as boundaries because I haven't been able to figure out the right boundary to connect with people. All right, I can give you who I am now. Don't ask me about my past. Don't ask me where I'm from. Don't ask me why I'm a vegetarian. Save that for let's know each other a while before you ask me any of that stuff. And I think that's really it, bottom line. I have a cat. I have 2 cats. One of those cats has a tail that doesn't go down and it doesn't go up. It goes over. So here's the cat's head, here's the cat's body, and here's the cat's tail. Like it's reversed. It's like an upside down tail. And every time she walks, the tail bounces on her head. It's the weirdest thing. I've always wanted a cat like that. I've seen it in videos on a rare occasion. Her brother, his tail goes like this, like here's the spine and then there's the rest of the tail. Not hers, it's upside down. And when she runs, it literally pats her on the top of the head. It's so fucking cute. You know when you see like a fox and the fox tail is curled up over the body, or a dog's tail where the dog's tail goes over? That's her tail, except she's a cat. And I really want to study zoology and just the shape of the spinal cord. Why is her spinal cord like that in comparison to all other cats? I don't know if it's a deformity, but my God, is it fascinating. She's not all in pain. And if you try and put it down, like there's no pain, there's zero pain. I have to emphasize that the cat is not being harmed. And it's just the way she holds her tail. I've never seen it. I have had over 60 cats in my life. And it's like, yeah. And it's like, why? How? It's interesting. And every time I see her, I'm like, I want to learn more. And I don't think I'm the only one on this. I think there's a lot of people who struggle with this. What do you do when you want to connect with a person, but you don't want to dive into your past? I almost want to give them, the options. Like, I don't mind telling you the truth. And actually, I do. I don't want to talk about my past. I don't want to tell you where I'm from. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. I have already thought about it more than and that's it right there. The minute they ask the question, I've already thought about it more than I want to. I can give you who I am now. Don't ask me about my past. I'm going to go with mysterious stranger. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'm going to stick with mysterious stranger. Like, I don't mind lying, but it's going to be an obvious lie. Like, I'm going to give you an obvious lie. It's called, I'm going to be the mysterious stranger. I'm from everywhere and nowhere. Don't ask questions. And I think if I come off as playful and honest, that would probably work. And they'll know, oh, okay, don't ask her about her past. As soon as I figure out this answer, it will really make a lot of things easier for me. And I think that's going to and once I get into the habit of using it, the thing is, most of my friends are all into D&D. Most of my friends are all fantasy fantasy readers. They're all into that genre. So I can easily play off on the whole, let's be mysterious, let's be fantastical, and they'll love it. And we can talk about the now, but and the other thing about the flip side of all of this is the taboo topic that I never talk about. And after 2 years of doing this, so the first year that I did this, the first thing I noticed there was that no one knew anything about me. It worked, and I wasn't connecting with anybody. And then the second time I tried this, it was with actual friends, and no one knew anything about me. And it's like, okay, so how do I get around this? Now there's people, and this is interesting because then I've got friends who have never asked me in person about my past, but they follow me on Facebook. So they know, because my life is publicized. So they know my shit. But when we're face to face, they don't bring it up. And they know why. And it's like, I don't want to talk. They know. I love those people the most because they've done the research, and the research there. I'm available online so that they can go and see it. But in face to face, they have the know-all to don't ask her about her past. And I think that's what I need is a few just friends of don't ask her about her past. Like none of it. Zero. Like don't. Because it never leads into a good conversation. It never leads into a pleasant conversation. I don't get triggered, but it ruins my night. And then I've got that shadow in the back of my head all night. And I'm like, I don't want to start off with that. All right. I feel solid. Like I'm working this out. And I think a lot of adults have this problem. Let's talk about this. I think a lot of people have this problem. You get out of a bad situation. You're trying to connect with another adult. When we're kids, we don't have garbage. We don't have this trauma. When we're kids, where are you from? We don't have any of the bad shit yet. And if we do, we're in the middle of it. So, and you've got kids who just don't talk about their home life or they don't talk about their family. That's a red flag. But what do you do? So you just don't connect because you don't want to talk. Can't all adults just agree that asking about the past is not a good thing to do when you're trying to make new friends? There. There. You know what? And this goes over into the job. No one wants to talk about their job because it's not important. And I've seen this. Oh God, I love New Yorkers about this one. This one's a fun one with New Yorkers. So almost everyone hates their job. Almost everyone. And in New York, probably 80% of the people you meet, this is like my favorite thing. This is actually hilarious. I've only seen this in New York. Outside of the city, when people ask, what do you do for a living? You regurgitate the answer. I do this for a living. And then you're talking about what you do. And you're talking about work. No, not in New York. In New York, it's, I don't want to talk about work. I want to talk about, they'll just come right out. I don't want to talk about work. None of us. And it was, I remember, and this has happened 3 or 4 times now. I'll be in an event. Somebody will say, so what do you do for a living? And someone will say, I don't want to talk about work. And somebody else will pop off with, you know what? I don't want to talk about work either. Can we just unanimously agree that we are not going to talk about what we do for a living? Ask me anything else. And that's it, really. That's it. That's it. Like, we have all agreed. We all hate our job. We are all doing something that we hate doing, but we have to eat. So let's just not talk about work. That's it. We've all unanimously agreed. It's hilarious. And it's like, how the fuck do you how do you connect with an adult? Or how do you connect with other adults when half of the conversations that you're supposed to ask to make friends aren't pleasant? All right, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We need a new set of questions. New set of questions. And I don't want to use the words trauma. I don't want to use the words mental. If I have to use any of these words in a sentence, I'm not answering the question because I don't want to say these words aloud. Trauma and mental. All right, I got to think here. What questions can you ask another adult to start forming a connection? Okay, let's go over human connection. I know what human connection is. Let's analyze that bit because that's my easy part. So human connection is the sharing of emotions. How do you share emotions? The sharing of emotions. The sharing of emotions. Well, the first thing we look at is pleasurable emotions. We access similar emotions. So we want to access similar emotions. Like hating our job. We all hate our job, but that's not an emotion we want to connect over. Pleasurable emotions. You know, and a lot of adults don't. No one knows this. Psychologists know this, but no one knows this. So we're trying to make human connection without understanding what makes human connection. Sharing pleasurable emotions makes human connection. Sharing pleasurable emotions. So how do you connect with somebody you know nothing about? You have to find one like. Oh, let's go with 3 pleasurable emotions that you all hit at the same time. Now, I'm going to tell you about a few people. The first person that I spoke to, I'm going to call this person T. The next person I'm going to refer to is D, and the next person I'm going to refer to is L, and I'm going to put one other person in here, and I'm going to call her J. Now, T, we talked about fantasy novels. We met, we said hello, he asked me nothing about my past. He asked me if I was into science fiction or fantasy. Then began the conversation. We were also at game night, and we were at his place, and he had a really amazing collection. Are you okay? My daughter's foot caught on the lamp cord, and suddenly this massive lamp was like flipping. It's like, oh! You're all right? Okay. So he had a massive, massive game collection. So right there, games. And it's a game night, so that was like an easy one of, okay, games, fantasy. And it's funny because I was there wearing a crown, complete hippie outfit, had my gorgeous sunglasses. I have the best sunglasses. the best, like John Lennon sunglasses. I bought them in Woodstock, literally. I was like at Woodstock, like right there, and they had, oh my God, I love my sunglasses. So I have my crown on, I got my sunglasses on, I arrive in my leather jacket. I have a purple leather jacket. I got this massive like hippie outfit on. I'm awesome. I got my lawn earrings down to here. And he's like, so, and with the crown on, he's like, so you like fantasy? I think I prefer science fiction. He was like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, I prefer science fiction. And he's like, tell me about it. It's so funny because I'm literally walking through New York like this with these hippie earrings on, these John Lennon sunglasses. I'm high. Let's talk about philosophy of the universe and everything. And while we're at it, let's discuss the relationship and the evolution of Dune and how it transfers over from book over to movie again, and then back to book. What did you think of the sequels? Like, it's extraordinary. It's hilarious. People assume I'm a deadbeat hippie. And then I open my mouth and they're like, and that was the look I got from him. So he's like, you like science fiction? I'm like, I prefer science fiction. So we were talking about Foundation. Oh my God, I love Foundation. We were talking about Foundation and science and Star Trek. And then we started talking a little bit about Star Wars and what I couldn't stand about Star Wars, what he couldn't stand about Star Wars. And then fantasy. Fantasy is harder. But so it was really like, and we really bonded over like, all right, so there was the connection. We were like sharing. And then he was like, why don't you go ahead and pick a game? And I'm like, all right. And they're like, what kind of games do you like? And again, they were expecting like Monopoly or Scrabble. So if you are not a gamer, I need to explain this to you. There is board games, and then there's elementary board games, which is the stuff that you play when you're kids, like Monopoly and Scrabble and Life, Risk, those kids. And at that time we thought Risk was advanced. But then there's like this whole nother level of the serious board gamer. The serious board gamer goes one of two directions: RPG and LARPing, or over here. We are talking about strategic games. A lot of people, like Wingspan is a fantastic one. One day I will play Wingspan. And then there's what's it called? Oh, I can't remember. We played Tobago last night and Kingsburg. Like, these are massively, like I said, it takes an hour to learn these games. So that's like, I want to feel like I'm learning how to disassemble a bomb before I play a game. It's that kind of game, highly intellectually like challenging, multiple things happening. So we bonded over that. And then I have a conversation with D. D was this is how this one went down. L, I come in, and this is the second time I met L. L was he was my grounding friend. He's the one who I'd met before, met him through a friend who I met through my VIP. So this is like a third, and I'm watching like this massive flow chart of, okay, my partner introduced me to this person introduced me to L introduced me to J, D, and T. So this is how this went down last night. L's the one who was like, oh, you're a vegetarian. Tell me about that. No, we don't want to. No, you don't want to hear about this. And he was, again, very, very open. Like, hey, I would like to get to know you more. And I've probably talked to him like 4 times now total. Like, I've had 3 conversations online and 1 face-to-face meeting. So this is like our second face-to-face meeting. So we're at that point where he's like, all right, I want to get to know you. So it was legitimately like a harmless question. And then he introduces Jay. Was interesting. Jay was, and I do not know the politically correct way to say this, she was deaf. And so she was limited. Now I know a little bit of sign language, very, very little. I can do my name and that's about it. I can do like the whole alphabet. I know thank you. I know no and yes. And that's about it. So I can do a lot more than that, but I'm not going to get into it. So when we were introduced, I was able to say, I am Anna. And she lit right up like, oh my God. And she immediately signed away. And I very sadly had to be like, I don't know that much. And I was knitting, but because of that, like it inspired me to want to learn sign language again. Like, she really lit right up. And I'm like, there's no grammar rules in sign language. There's no grammar rules in sign language. So maybe I'll be better at sign language than Spanish. So she went nuts over it, and it was I had to it was amazing to watch her just light up. I loved it. So we connected that. And then with Jay, well, that was Jay. And then with D was L was singing Freddie Mercury. There's nothing else. He was singing some Freddie Mercury, and I was like, and he goes, "Yeah, I have a friend for you." So he sends me over to D. This is via a chat now, and he's like, "You need to meet D." I met D, and she blew. Oh! We got into a Freddie Mercury standoff. Freddie Mercury trivia. What's his birthday? Who loves him more? And then she sends me how she dressed up for him during Halloween a couple years ago. Oh my God, it was amazing. Oh my God. So, and that lasted for like 2 hours at least. Yeah, it was like after game night ended, it was all the way home I was texting, and then I stayed up until midnight last night just talking about Freddie Mercury. We were sharing all of our Freddie Mercury stuff. We have Freddie Mercury stuff. It was like, and she did not outshrine me. We were like head to head on the shrines. We have shrines of Freddie Mercury. It was it was extraordinary. So I'm like, interesting. So I have D, who we bonded over Freddie. Oh, yes, that's going to be a good relationship. And then we had J, who we bonded over just the ability to communicate. So, and then we had T, who bonded over fantasy and game. And it was like Freddie shared emotion, communication, shared emotion with the SLE. And then T, it was the fantasy in the game night. So we all had this shared emotion. I almost want to say that, like, really, I really, this is it. There's socially what's accepted. And I know, here's the psych. Okay, here's the psych. I'm going to shut this video down because I did a lot of wandering and I'm all over the place. I'm going to start a new one because I want to be on point with this one. I want to be like right off. So I'll be back in a few minutes. We're gonna dissect adult friendships because we need to do this. I'll be back. Like, subscribe, follow, share, comment below. Let me know what part of the show resonated with you. And then take a look at all my stuff down below. And then we're going to talk because I got to dive into this one. It's just time. It's just time. Okay. See you soon.